What's up YouTube, my name is KKC and welcome to the channel. And in this video we're going to go through the top 5 loadouts you can be using in Warzone at this moment in time, whether that's playing REBIRTH or CALDERA. We're going to go through 5 different assault rifles paired up with 5 different submachine guns. Of course the order is just my opinion, you can pair these however you want. So enough of the rambling, let's get into it. Starting off in the 5th spot we have the Cold War AK-47 and the Type 100. So the Cold War AK has kind of dropped off the radar a tiny bit since they buffed all of the Vanguard guns, but it's still a very good assault rifle to be running in Warzone. So the build is going to be exactly how you would expect any Cold War gun to be. Crew suppressor, the longest barrel in the AK's case is the 20-inch Spetsnaz RPK barrel, the axial arms, the Spetsnaz grip, and then the 45 round magazine. Moving on to the Type 100, this is going to be our rapid fire build. We're going to go for the recoil booster, the 134 rapid barrel, slate reflector or whichever reflector you prefer, the T100 stock, acrobatic and quick in the perks, the fabric grip, polymer grip, any of those 2 grips are going to be pretty good, the 48 round drum magazine, lengthened ammunition if you want the bullet velocity, subsonic ammunition if you prefer to stay off the radar, and then the M1941 hand stop underbarrel. In the underbarrel slot, if you are struggling with recoil, go ahead and chuck on the Carver foregrip. Now moving on, coming in the number 4 slot, you can argue this is the most reliable Warzone class to be running at the moment. We have the Automaton paired with the MP-40. Now by reliable, I just mean they're really easy to use. The Automaton's got a very good recoil pattern, and the MP-40 is, well, the old reliable MP-40. For the Automaton, we're going to go for the MX silencer, the BFA 600 barrel, the SVT 3 to 6 times optic scope, the Anastasia padded stock, tight grip, fully loaded in the perks, polymer grip, the 75 round drum magazine. Ammunition is going to be either lengthened or subsonic again, whichever you prefer, and then the Carver foregrip. Now some people would argue that the M1941 is the better underbarrel to be using because you don't lose any ADS. With the Carver foregrip, you kind of trade out hipfire accuracy for ADS, but I do find the recoil pattern with the Carver foregrip in general for all of the Vanguard guns is more manageable than the M1941. So you can put on the 1941 if you're struggling with the recoil, like we just said with the Type 100, chuck on the Carver foregrip and that should be good to go. Moving on to the MP-40, like I've said in previous videos, this is built out kind of inspired by the Call of Duty League and what the pros use over in the ranked games. We're going to run the recoil booster, the Krausnik 317 barrel, the Krausnik ISO 1M optic. Again, if you don't like that, go and run the slate reflector. Any optic that you prefer, you can go ahead and run that, because optics don't really change the gun too much. You can pretty much use whatever you prefer. The Krausnik folding stock, brace and quick in the perks, the polymer grip, the 45 round magazine, the Gorenko magazine, lengthened or subsonic ammunition, and then the M1941 hand stop underbarrel. Now coming in the 3rd spot, we have the only class that doesn't have a Vanguard gun in, and it's going to be the Cold War XM4 and the Cold War OTS-9. Now very similar to the AK-47, the XM4 is going to be built pretty much the same. The highest level suppressor, the longest barrel, and then the underbarrel on the magazine. So we're going to go for the agency suppressor, the task force barrel, axial arms 3 times optic, the field agent grip, and then the Stanag 60 round magazine. Moving on to the OTS-9, we're going to go for the GRU suppressor, the task force barrel, the Spetsnaz grip, the Spetsnaz 40 round magazine, and then the GRU elastic wrap. Now moving on to 2nd place, we have the Cooper Carbine and the Welgun. Now this is probably one of the easiest classes to be using in Warzone at the moment. The Cooper Carbine is super easy to use. It kind of has dropped off the top sort of meta spot recently with the other buffs to some of the other guns that we'll get onto, but this is still a very good loadout to be using. So for the Cooper Carbine, we're going to go for the MX silencer, the Cooper Custom 22-inch barrel, the G16 2.5 times optic, or the SVT 3 to 6 times optic, whichever you prefer. The Cooper Custom padded stock, tight grip, fully loaded, polymer grip in the rear grip. We're going to go for the 60 round drum magazine. I'm currently running subsonic, but you can run lengthened in the ammunition, and then of course the M1941 hand stop underbarrel. So paired up with the Cooper Carbine, we have of course the Welgun. Super easy to use, really good movement, really good fire rate, just a general overall good gun to be using at this moment in time. We're going to go for the recoil booster, the shrouded barrel, any optic that you prefer, we're currently running the Slate Reflector, the Skeletal stock, Acrobatic and Quick in the perks, Stipple grip tape or the polymer rear grip, anything along those lines will be good. The 40 round Gorenko mags, Subsonic again for the same reason as before, but lengthened will also be good there. And then the Mark 6 Skeletal underbarrel. But if you are struggling with the recoil, again, you can either chuck on the Carver or the M1941. If you do start with the Skeletal, you can then move on to the M1941, and if you're still struggling, you can then finally go on to the Carver foregrip. But the recoil on the Welgun's pretty low as it is, so that's why we've gone for an underbarrel that isn't actually going to give us any gain in recoil control. But if you need it, chuck it on. You should always build these classes out for how you prefer and not what the internet says is the best TTK or anything like that. So here we go, guys. We've made it to the #1 spot. This is the best loadout you can be using in Warzone at this moment in time, whether that's Rebirth or Caldera. And of course, it's probably pretty obvious. It's the STG-44 and the Owen Gun. On the STG, we're going to go for the MX silencer, the VDD 760 barrel, whichever optic you prefer. I quite like running the G16 2.5, or you can run the SVT 3-6. The weighted stock, focus and fully loaded in the perks. If you did want to change up, you could use sleight of hand, acrobatic. Perk 1 slot on the STG is kind of all over the place. I'm not sure how good vital is anymore, the increased torso damage, but it takes away recoil control and accuracy. I'm not really sure how favorable that is, so I haven't tried that out yet. But focus, sleight of hand, acrobat, they're all going to be good options there. Polymer grip in the rear grip, the Gorenko 50 round magazine. Now this is going to be the fire rate version of the STG build. You could go for the 45 round for the extra damage, but I find it doesn't really make that much of a difference, and the 50 round mag is super easy to use. That's why they are on there. Subsonic, lengthened, any ammunition you prefer. And then of course I really like the recoil pattern with the Carver foregrip on the STG, so that is why I'm running it there. But M1941 hand stop would also be a very good option for the STG. And then finally, this is probably one of the best and most overpowered submachine guns I've ever seen in Warzone. It's super good. It isn't the easiest thing to use in the world, but the movement's really good. I think it's not that easy purely based off the fact that the drum is on the side of the gun. Those things always make a difference, especially if you're playing on console with a restricted FOV. Does change things up, but this is the best SMG to be running at this moment in time. We're going to go for the recoil booster, the Hawkinson rapid barrel, whichever optic you prefer, in this case the Slate Reflector, removed stock for the extra movement, brace and quick in the perks, the stippled polymer, any grip will be good there. We're going to put on the Gorenko 72 round drum magazine. I'm currently running subsonic, but again, if you want to run lengthened, that's probably going to be overall the better option in the ammunition. And then the Carver foregrip. The recoil can be a little bit wild on the Owen Gun, especially if you've got more visible recoil on console, so the Carver is going to be more suited there if you do want to run the M1941, or if you do think you can get away with running the Skeletal for the extra ADS, you can do that. But Skeletal, M1941, Carver foregrip, those are going to be the three options. I'd probably stick with the Carver just to help out with the recoil, guys. And that is the top 5 loadouts to be using in Warzone at this moment in time. Again, I would say the #1, the STG-44 and the Owen Gun is the outlier. That is the anomaly. That is the best loadout to be using. Hopefully you found this video helpful, guys. If you did, let me know by dropping a like on it down below. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so big love to anyone who leaves a like or a comment on the video. Speaking of leaving a comment, let me know if you tried out one of these classes in the comments below, and let me know what you think your top 5 ARs and submachine guns to be using in Warzone at this moment in time is. Do you think my order is whack? Do you think the order is pretty good? Let me know down below. We'll use it as a discussion page. Thank you for staying tuned to the video. As always, feel free to subscribe to the channel for all of the latest Call of Duty news, tips and tricks, how-tos, class setups, and much more.